I'm in Max. You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why problem make when you no problem have you don't want to make?
Hello and welcome to
Now they can
season 23, episode 20 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
My name is Stork.
My name is Adam.
And in this episode, Erica B., the necromancer, raises a long dead topic.
Oh.
Social skills.
I hate it when dead horses come back to life and we have to
your
beat
mic
them back
unmuted?
to death again. I don't know. Why would I look at that?
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It's all the way over there. Thank you.
Byron writes in about gaming and life balance. And Joe Gunn sends us a horror story turned triumph.
You need a sound effect from Apocalypse Now with the horror.
I don't have that. I've got...
Not Connie, these men are nihilists. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Good enough. Good enough. That works. The nihilist works.
But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter, happyjacksrpg, all one word. And Instagram, happyjacksrpg, all one word. And Facebook, happyjacksrpg, all one word. And MeWe, happyjacksrpg, all one word. I haven't posted there in 2 weeks.
It's thriving.
It's growing.
Sure.
I checked.
Okay, can't do anything
I get
worse.
these notifications, and I had like 12 people join the group.
Yeah. So
And at
that's
some point, it's going to hit a critical mass where...
of 12, 13 people?
No, it's over 100.
Oh, okay.
It's over 100.
Yeah, huh?
It is.
I
I'm
believe
serious.
you. No, I'm
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
I want to join you.
Do you?
Whose phone is... Oh,
but we're streaming.
Yeah, clearly we're streaming.
Long dead topic arise. Social skills from Erica B. Hello.
Hello.
Erica Odd here with an email as requested because I posted on
MeWe.
The
on
new
MeWe.
forum.
I posted on MeWe.
And the new forum.
Did I put it on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
that's
did.
why this
Oh, did-
got
okay.
here.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Erica Odd saw it on MeWe.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Probably.
she saw it on the forum because she said, "Okay, I'm sending one in."
Right.
HappyJacks.org/forum.
Or happyjacksforum.com.
Or MeWe/HappyJacks.org.
No, that's not a thing. That's a lie.
I don't have a question or a horror story or anything, so I'm writing in with a topic of conversation. Something to talk about besides the freaking definition of a sandbox game for a change.
Thank you, Erica. You got our backs. Thank you so much.
Oh, where it is there. My topic is in-game social skills and how they're usually treated differently from just about everything else. For example, one wouldn't make the player of a monk get up and demonstrate that they have a mastery of kung fu. Bard players aren't made to spout sonnets and sing songs. Ah, you have not played with some of the people I played with. And
Wait a minute. God
and
damn
wizard
it.
players certainly aren't required to show that they can twiddle their fingers and catch something on fire.
Although
Why?
I can.
Right.
Yeah.
Why, then, is it so often required for players to actually say what their characters say when they use social skills like diplomacy or intimidate or bluff or whatever?
You know, that's a good point. I think everybody that plays a wizard needs to learn a magic trick before they can actually play the wizard. They need to, hey, there's a card.
this
There's a
your
card.
card?
Is this your card? Right? Just so that they
That the
can...
cords are in your ear?
Got your nose.
Now, don't get me wrong. My preference is to roleplay such encounters, but it sometimes seems unfair. A player who isn't as good at diplomacy as their character is might accidentally say the wrong thing, causing their attempt to fail regardless of how well they rolled. One wouldn't make a fighter
Don't know anything about
a fighter's high attack roll automatically miss if the player describes the attack that doesn't make sense. Why are diplomacy characters so punished? I guess this is a form of the old roleplay ROLL versus roleplay ROLE argument. Again, I prefer role-playing, but the dice have to mean something too. Otherwise, those skills wouldn't be in the game. Why can't a meek, quiet player run a big badass barbarian with a high intimidation skill if they themselves aren't all that intimidating? Thoughts, comments, rude suggestions. Drink if you wanna. Hugs to all and all that mushy stuff. Erica Odd.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. I'd just like to say I remember when Erica joined. Wasn't she the Savage Worlds guru?
Yeah.
And now she is intimately involved with the forum. And it's always good to have you here, Erica. Thank you.
Intimately involved,
Intimately.
Erica.
I didn't want to dwell on it, make it creepy. Thanks for making it creepy, Adam.
I'm gay, so it's not creepy.
It's endearing.
You're
Right, it's
gay?
endearing. Yeah. Shh. Shh. What's that? Homophobia is the fear that gay men will treat you the way you treat women.
I love you so much.
Dude, your timing was perfect. I almost shot that out of my nose. And just taking a sip. Oh, it's perfect.
If my timing was perfect, you would
Would have.
So,
Have you seen the size of my
You're-
nose? It can
you're
hold a lot of beer.
This is a really good point.
it is, I love this question.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I was here for this question because this is something that I've dealt with and thought about a lot in games, and it's something that's really bugged me a lot. I had this one. I was playing Mage the Ascension game, and my character was supposed to be super charming and had all the dice to prove it, and I would get ready to charm someone, and I am not good at those things actually normally, and so I would be like, I don't know what to say. I flirt with them, and I'd roll the dice, and the GM would say, okay, well, what do you tell them? And I'd make up something. He's like, well, that's corny, so it fails. I'm like, I have 7 successes here. It does not fail.
It's not a judgment call.
Right, exactly. And I think this is a big problem, and I think she's exactly right that a lot of people and a lot of GMs make diplomacy skills be proven in role play or LE play, and in a way that they would never expect of other things. And I think it's really unfortunate. The thing I like to do is, if you've got the thing to say, tell me what it is. And if it's really awesome, I'll give you advantage, or maybe give you a +1 bonus or whatever. If you don't know what to say, that's fine. Roll the dice and you give me a summary of what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll assume that you said it amazingly beautifully or super scary and intimidating.
Yeah. Well, you always should roll dice. And I've had the opposite problem where, like, I often play, like, characters who do talk a lot, and I'm good at talking. And then, right now, like, an example is my Vault 818 character. She is dumb as rocks. Like, fun, but stupid.
Oh, yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where I'm, like, having to, like, check myself. So, like, if I was trying to, like, and there have been times where I, like, all right, so roll, because it's Apocalypse World, so roll hot to convince someone. Like, no matter what I say, like, even if I forgot my character was an idiot and I started saying great things, like, those dice should be like, oh, you were super eloquent as fuck as a player. Oh, nope, that's a 3. Like, so that should be the deciding factor. That's the great equalizer in tabletop games. That's what keeps it fair.
Right.
You're both wrong. And I will give you an analogy.
Okay.
Because she started to give an analogy, but I'm going to kind of back the camera up a bit,
Okay.
away a bit.
Okay.
I'm playing D&D, which arguably, at times, during combat, is a tactical board game.
Yes.
I'm shitty at tactics.
Yes.
So, even though I have a barbarian who has a super high whatever skill to be able to smash people into tiny bits, if it is a situation where the tactics matter, like where people move and how things are handled in what order or whatever, I'm in a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
I am the meek player with the social character when it comes to tactics.
Yeah.
So why can't I make a tactics roll
Well,
You
and
can
just win the combat?
Well, except in D&D.
If you were playing something other than D&D, you'd
Right.
be able to do that.
Possibly.
So that's also part
There's
of...
the leadership role. There's a leadership character that you can. There's some of those things are there, but
But
carry on. I
I'm
get
still,
what you're saying.
I still have to rely on my own ability, my ability as a player, to be able to look at the board, figure out what is the smartest tactical decision to make.
Right.
And when you're playing, and I think asking someone for what they're going to say for a social role is almost equivalent, because I have to decide how I'm going to approach this tactical situation on the map. I'm asking you how you're going to approach the social situation before you make your roll.
yes and no.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, asking how you're going to approach something, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like, in describing what you're going to do, someone who's awkward can do that. Like being like, oh, I'm going to walk up to them and flirt with them. Like, that's the equivalent of asking someone what you're going to do on the map. If you're asking someone to be like, what do you say to them exactly? Act it out. Like, those are two different things. Like, people who are socially awkward can be like...
So it's actually more unfair during combat because I actually have to do tactics.
But that's also...
I can't just
that's also
say,
because
I'm in the best tactical position.
Well,
that's what you get for playing a game with a map component, though. That is something that you are accepting.
No.
Because
Hold on.
let me finish.
I'm going to put a pin on that.
There are lots of theater of the mind games where if you're playing PBTA, you're like, okay, I get to the most tactical position. Like, you can say that, and it becomes true.
Right.
Where if you are choosing to play a map game where you have to actually count the squares or hexes or whatever you chose, like, that is a component you've accepted by choosing that system.
Does someone who's playing a social character not choose to play a social character?
Right, but there are systems where. But
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate.
No,
a
I
little
totally
bit,
get it.
But
I see your straw man, Stu. I see it.
I don't think it's a straw man though, because I think people make an assumption that if you're playing D&D specifically, or Pathfinder, any of those games that have a map, Savage Worlds too. I mean, it's not just D&D.
Yeah.
That you're playing those games, that it's assumed you're on your own when it comes to tactics. I mean, you can talk to other players or whatever, but all in all, your decisions on what your character is going to do tactically comes down to the player. It doesn't come down to a skill roll.
That's true.
You know what? If I were running a Savage Worlds, I'm sorry, you had something to say, but I got to say
No,
this before it
no,
goes out of my head.
this
I
is
were running
weird, but I wanted to hear what you had to say.
if I were running a Savage Worlds game or a Pathfinder game, and your character made a leadership role, or in Savage Worlds, certainly there are skill sets that apply to tactics and the science of battle and. There are.
Are there things that can give you like die roll advantages?
There are, but here's it's a hybrid thing. If you were to succeed in your tactics roll, whatever it is, if you use one of your abilities to make it, I would say, all right, you notice that the terrain is this way. That if you put your people here, if you put this here, you would have a better advantage. So the GM would be giving that player information because they succeeded in their role, rather than like, you succeeded, what do you do?
Right. Except that skill doesn't exist in any of those games.
It does.
Which is kind of unfortunate, but I think this all goes back to, are you playing a simulation or are you playing an imagination game?
Right.
And there are a lot of people who love the, like, no, we're super hardcore tactical, this is all simulation, we're going by the minis rules and we're measuring things out with rulers, blah blah blah. Right. That's fine, don't invite me to your game, but you play that and you have fun.
And that's a dichotomy, and there's a broad spectrum of every point in between.
Yeah. And in my case, or what I like is, if I were to ever run D&D again, I won't. But if I 5e is like the best version of D&D I've ever seen, and even that I can't handle running. I love it. I love playing, but can't run it. But if I were to run it again, and somebody said, okay, I am a super badass fighter, and they make a really dumb tactical move, I would say, hey, you probably would know that, like, there's a great opportunity to be hiding an ambush here. You should probably know that you don't want to do that. Whereas I wouldn't necessarily say that to the wizard with a wisdom of 8.
Right.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
At some point, the GM has to say, you spent like 20 years in paladin school. You know that like going up the hill at the enemy is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Tactically, you should come around this side.
Yeah.
It's this hybrid where the GM has to help a bit, and it's the same with social skills, I would
Yeah.
think. If you're trying to talk your way into the guard, and you come in, it's like, you would know that insulting the guard's mother will not get you into the city.
Yeah.
You need to, perhaps you should, compliment him on his attire first.
Right.
I think the main difference is the length of time for both those actions. Because in a combat, the GM has time to, that was stupid. Well, on their end, maybe not even saying anything. Like, hopefully they'll say things. But pull their punches make you still, like, effective in combat, even if you're not making the best choices. Where if it's like an individual, like a lot of those social roles are like one-shot rolls. Yeah. Oh, nope, you fail at your charisma or whatever.
Yeah. And it does, like, the combat roles are generally, it's, what are you doing for the next 6 seconds?
Yeah.
And then we're going to go through every 6-second increment until everybody's gone. Whereas social roles, it's like, okay, what do you say over the 20 minutes of conversation? Make one roll for that. So there is a little bit of a difference in the stakes of each role.
Yeah.
I think that should probably allow for a little more flexibility with the social roles.
And I think that a lot of this, the reason people want people to do social stuff is to encourage role play.
Yeah.
Is to encourage
And
what
well,
can happen.
But it is a role-playing game.
I'm not saying that you're not shutting it down.
We got
It's
the
not
game.
black or
We
white.
got the game part with the map and the minis.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
there's also the role-playing part.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
But I think it's equally valid to say things like, you succeed, tell me how you succeed, or give me your speech, give me your spiel. So you get a little bit of that, and then you can move on. Or let's take the tactics again. You've succeeded in your tactics role, and you realize that you come through here. How do you inspire the rest of the group to follow your orders?
Yeah, I like that because that also boosts the confidence of the player because they know they've already succeeded. So even if they, as a person, a player, like say something that's not quite as inspiring as the dice would make it,
Once more into the breach, and
Yeah.
nobody's
Right, yeah.
Shakespeare. You're not going to
Yeah,
do St.
exactly.
Crispin's Day all the time.
So, like, it's like, oh, okay, I know I've already succeeded, so, you can start talking and then sort of trail off. Okay, it's really inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's
it also
helpful.
and it also gives the non-role player, it gives the shy person an out. He goes, I kind of cribbed St. Crispin's Day, and I say once more into the breach, and go, all right, excellent, and then you can move on.
Yeah.
Whereas the stand-up comedian, it's a part-time, could go on for 20 minutes
Yeah.
with a speech that he comes off the cuff, but it gives them that out. You've succeeded. Tell us what you do.
Yeah.
That's my solution to it, and it kind of even comes from the fumble factor that I've always used. When you fail, tell me how you have failed. Tell me how you failed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more fun that way. And I think it gives people, when they do fail a role, it gives them a little bit of a way to save face and to feel like they're having fun and contributing even though they failed in the action.
You have succeeded. Tell me how you succeeded.
Yeah.
Well, breaking it up, I think too, like into multiple roles. Like if you're a GM and you know one of your players struggles with the improv, like part of role playing, have them do a couple different roles. Like have different reasons for them to roll.
Yeah.
Okay, you're approaching the town guard. Why don't you roll? To see what you can tell about him while you walk up. Because as a social person, all right, so you rolled really well. So you realize that he's really tired looking, and he's got a baby toy stuck in his pocket. He must have a newborn.
Right.
So you give them some tools to work with, to handhold them, then have them, like Stork said, get that success on the main roll. So then they've got like a string of like 2 or 3 different roles that they can do well at or not do well at. That kind of gives them more of a bell curve for success than 50-50.
Or you
whatever.
remember that this is the guard who is moonlighting at the open mic night and is an insult comic, so you do insult his mother as you come up. And he's like, hey, great one. Hey, come on in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
I think there's a balance to strike. I really do. I think that just defaulting to like, okay, you wanna sweet talk your way into the city. What do you do?
I don't think there's
rough.
anything wrong with asking for what the approach is. I mean that.
No.
It's a role playing game. It's a role playing game.
Right, yeah. I think my ultimate takeaway is GMs be flexible with your players and the characters because regardless of whether it's a tactical physical thing or whether it's a mental social thing, you want the characters to have an interesting story, and if your player doesn't have the same skills as the character does, that's okay. That's part of the imagination of it all. Let's have some fun, even if it means that they don't know exactly what they're going to say or where they would position themselves on the table.
I've even seen, I may have done it a couple of times too, shy players or players that aren't good with a certain skill succeed, and the GM narrate what it is they do.
Yeah.
Because they're clearly like, I rolled, did I succeed?
Yeah.
And they look, hungrily at you, and you're like,
Yeah.
here is how you sweet talk the guard. You say to them, and then they're like, oh yeah, cool. But it's kind of rare, but I have seen variations of that. I don't see anything wrong with that.
No.
Again, it's a player by player
Yeah.
basis that you have to cater to. There isn't just one rule that fits every player.
Right.
Allowances must be made for the shy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fair.
that's
Very fair.
That's really an edge case, though. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the hobby is getting, more and more popular. You're getting more and more people who started on video games who are coming in and doing this. It's opening up to neurodiversity, people with autism, things like that, with, who struggle with social cues, reading those things. We need to have these tools in our pocket as GMs so that we're able to, be accepting, be inclusive. There's so many reasons that someone could, not like doing something like that other than being shy.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, having...
Could just be having a bad day.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
We've had those days, even the
Yes.
most verbose among us have had the days
yeah.
where they're like, I can't remember my name. I don't know. Whatever.
I'll tell you, perfect example. It's already a stretch for me playing the captain on Second Star because I do not play characters that take the lead. I play the awkward person in the back.
You're doing a great job, though, by the way.
Thanks. But there was the beach episode, and I'm like, I do not have the spell slots today to give an awesome speech. I'm out. I'm exhausted. I need a short rest.
A sandwich.
Right? Yeah. I'm like, I do not have this available to me today.
Yep.
And and I took a back seat. I purposefully was like, you know what? I'm gonna kind of take. I'm gonna step back on this episode. Let's focus on the other characters because I can't do this today.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes it was just because I'd had a hard day. I was tired. I just didn't have it in me. It was, I think you need to make allowances for people, and the entire table should be responsible for this.
Yeah.
And
That's very true. It's not only the GM's responsibility.
because if you're the shy player and the GM wants you to speak something out, you should feel free to say, okay, what do I say to the other players, and let them help you come up with a speech. And you're like, yep, I say that line, and then I say this line, and that gives you the opportunity to cooperate and also take some of the pressure off of everybody at the table if it's shared.
Yeah, and have those off, away from table conversations. Go to the GM and be like, hey, I'm really excited to play this very charismatic paladin, but I'm not a very charismatic paladin, and I'd really like to do this, but I need your help. What are some ways we can do this?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of responsibility. And to be completely honest, the GM can also instigate that conversation.
Yeah.
Because often the person who's shy and struggling with coming up with those big speeches is also going to be the person who's a little bit shy about addressing, and being, because they see it as confrontational, be like, hey, and it's hard to admit sometimes you need help with things.
Yeah.
There is one caveat that or maybe a pitfall as a GM. You need to be careful not to handhold them through everything.
Yeah.
Right.
We eventually have to push the bird out of the nest.
Right.
It
We've
has to
had new
fly.
players before. I'm not going to name names, but they started out shy and sort of reserved, and then they turn into these wonderful, wonderful characters because you sort of put them in positions where
We
you
all
have
know
to. Okay.
All right, getting back on the horse from Byron.
Yay, I'll read it. It's about horses.
Right.
Hey.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Poor Kimmy.
Getting back on the horse from Byron. Yellow Appy Jackets. Greetings from the drizzly Pacific Northwest.
That's it?
I find
Yeah.
myself inching towards 40. I just turned 38 today.
You're a puppy.
Everything's better in your 40s.
I have twin 6-year-olds and a 3.5-year-old.
That'll age you right there. That's
Wow. Who thinks he runs the universe? He does. Things have definitely gotten more sane over the years, but finding time to actually play RPGs, again, seems to remain elusive. I also have a tappy-like addiction for rules and a love of just grinding through books and seeing people set up their worlds. I'm fortunate to have a job where I can sit in front of a computer and about 3 hours a day just sit on a bus and listen to podcasts when I get to the office. And in almost all of my friends are being in similar boats, i.e. professionals with kids. Can you read?
Yeah, it's really hard to get organized now to play games. Any advice for not having pickup games suck? Pickup group games. Pickup group games suck. Or some magic trick involving keeping kids, wives, and a gaming group healthy and happy. That's one question.
All right, I'm back. I would also like to say to you glorious bastards almost make me want to risk going to LA again just to meet you all in person and maybe grab a con game.
Do it.
Quick horror story. The first time I went to LA, someone let tear gas off in the ventilation system at LAX, and it took me hours to get my luggage.
Welcome to Los Angeles.
Sorry about that.
Wow. Anyway, thanks for all the content, and if I can ever, I can ever get the planets in alignment, I hope to use much of your advice. Keep on douching it up, Byron, aka JD Riz on the forums. Woohoo! Hey. P.S. Found out recently that Dave is also a survivor of twins. Drink twice. Mm-hmm. P.P.S. Man, that would be a good start for an RPG. Figuring out what happened during those unrememberable 6 months of sleep deprivation from twins. All of a sudden, you come out of the haze and you have 2 small humans to take care of. Drink again.
I have absolute admiration watching Dave go through that.
Man.
Dave is one of the most pleasant, happiest people I've ever known. And I think having twins would have driven me to just be even more dour and dark than anything. And yet Dave just is still Dave.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
He's like, this sucks. How you doing? I'm good. It's great.
It's astonishing.
I'm going to keep going. That's my Dave.
He is very
It's not
good.
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Behold!
He was Fuzzy Dave for a couple of years there.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, oh yeah, everything's fine. With like this 1,000-yard
twitchy eye.
stare.
Yeah.
A little crazy. Yeah.
But he's still one of the happiest, funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
He's literally just, you talk to Dave and you can't stop laughing.
I love Dave.
I love the man. I love the man to death.
Your kids are getting old enough where you can start to contemplate going back to a regular gaming group. You're definitely at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and keep in mind, this is me speaking from the non-parental privilege spot.
You're gay?
You can be gay and have kids.
That is a beautiful callback.
Thank you. It went over my head a couple of times. Like, should I? I'm
yes,
doing
you
it.
should.
Go for it.
Absolutely should. You should have waited until I took a drink.
What's the most important part of comedy?
Interrupting cow. Ew.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. You had a really good point. Carry on.
So I have gamed with a lot of friends with kids, and one of the key things, it seems to me, is finding a gaming group that either has kids of their own and also understands the problems, or is understanding of this issue.
Affliction.
This affliction. Yeah. You have this curse. No, I'm just kidding. Because I love kids, and my friends with kids are like a huge blessing for me, because if I go to their house, I get to play with their kids, and I'm like the guy who at the there was the Halloween party, I think here, and the one guy from Sportive Tricks brought the baby, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold the baby and rock the baby to sleep on the front porch for an hour while everybody else has a party. It was like the best night of my year.
Something weird. You're like,
I'm like, I got a baby. But like being able to play with people who understand, like the kid comes first, always.
Right.
So if I don't care if you're in the middle of DMing the most interesting social situation or the most intense combat, if the kid says, Daddy, I want a snack, you go get the kid a fucking snack.
Right.
And everybody else at the table goes, okay, cool. And you wait until the kid is taken care of, because that's how you befriend a person. That's how you be a friend.
Yeah.
Just fucking let them take care of their kids first.
be a friend. I see
Be
what
a
you
friend.
did there.
Yeah,
I see what
exactly.
you did there. You broke that word down.
Right? Yeah.
Being a parent myself, I never actually took my kids into games and such. But this brings me to a point when I went up to visit Grapham. He had an informal group that would show up. They'd hang out at the dining room table. They brought their kids, and the kids would tumble and play around, and they'd come in and they'd interact with them, and they'd go around and tumble, and they'd go back upstairs and do stuff. But they gamed anyway.
Yeah.
They brought in
Arrange all the
like-minded
kids
people.
to kind of have a play date while they're
Yeah,
playing.
Right. Basically, yeah. But it wasn't like, go away, we're gaming. The kids were coming interacting, but because everybody there was a parent, if somebody had to get up and go change a diaper, or put out a fire, or occasionally the game would stop while it's like
Or literally
separating
put out a
kids.
fire.
Put out a fire,
Literally put out a fire. it was all good, and then what eventually happened is the kids were like, what's this thing that's going on, and then they got into the team, and it's healthy, because it allowed all of the people. You don't have to apologize to another parent if your kid, comes in, without their pants on, and you're like, what happened to your pants? Yeah. And the other parents go, well, yeah,
pants.
I mean, everybody knows. Everybody's in on the joke, and they all get it. So I would say, start gaming with your friends. Just have a date, have a play date game session.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, assuming
keep
the
it a
kids
one-shot kind of
are
thing.
in an age range where that's going to work.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got
that is true.
teenagers and 7-year-olds.
Yeah, we also have to remember, like, we have the privilege of gaming in a busy place with lots of gamers. So we have we actually have friends who are gamers that have kids.
Well, that's what he says. That's every one of his old gaming group is in the same boat. They're professionals with kids.
That's
So you know what? To me, this sounds like, and I granted the situation may be more complicated than what you're stating here, but to me, the solution is go back to your gaming group and say, hey, bring the kids over. Let's let them play in the living room while we game at the dining room. And, keep it shorter.
Yeah, keep it one-shots.
One-shots or a 1 or 2 hour session. And, and just get in a little bit of a time, but at least you're setting that example that you still get time for yourself and, and the kids come first, but you can work them in together. Just like any other hobby, your kids need to see you being yourself.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Some
other stuff that I know just from working with Dave's schedule so much. Like, he has, like, one night of the week where he has arranged where, like, him and his wife have, like, nights where they're allowed to, like, do their thing. So it's, like, Monday nights is Dave's night to come game, if that's what he wants to do with his Monday night.
Right.
So, like, that's the night. Like, they've arranged, they figured out ways for, all right, she takes the kids on Monday. They've got everything set up. Like, he helps out until he leaves for the game. So that's just, they know. They plan ahead. His day's Monday night. I forget which night hers, not her night, but they have that all worked out ahead of time, so that it's like this, like, not sacred time, but kind of like, this is the plan. So unless something happens, then that's the plan. Also, like, online gaming is totally a thing too.
Yeah.
So, and that's sometimes a little bit easier to, like, hey, you're still there with the kids. Your kids are getting of an age where they can kind of amuse themselves. So, like, if you can't make it to a game, or if, like, you can't find a time where everybody can do the play date thing, because that's amazing and awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Then, like, you can play with them. They're in the room. You're in the room. Everything's fine. You can still stop and put out a fire.
I've done several online games with friends who are parents, and and they're like, okay, kids go to bed at 8, so we can play from like 8:30 to 11.
Yeah.
And so okay, well, let's get on. Let's play for an hour and a half, and then next week we'll get another hour and a half in, and you get what you can.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people do it. You pay it forward. You work on your wife faction or your partner faction. You work to make sure that it's I've done all these things so that I can have the Tuesday off.
Wives can be gamers.
I was trying to be PC, and I've just really mucked it all up, didn't I?
You
I
can
really
also,
made it worse.
'cause I haven't really said much because I don't have a lot of standing in this when it comes to, like, role playing game life balance.
Right.
But you can get a divorce, then you have split custody. Then you only have them half the time.
Right.
and then you just buy pizza and leave them alone.
Good plan, Stu. You did it.
Maybe don't do that. Maybe.
I mean,
Well, that's my advice.
if that'll
Right,
make
yeah.
you
Take
happier,
it
then do it.
for what it's worth.
But
Be
yeah,
like Stu, kids.
going back to Adam's suggestion, when we were playing, I was playing a game with Bill and Elspeth, and they're in England, so the time zones are drastically different.
Yeah.
But we had it scheduled so, like, they put their kid to bed. An hour later, we'd play. 90% of the time, he's actually sleeping in bed, and we can start on time.
Yeah.
So, like, having that too, like with online gaming, it lets you, like, play from 8:30 to midnight or whatever time you're cool with.
He's at a very busy age, too.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
busy age.
And that's also a really good point. Most of the role playing games are done in the evenings anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you set it up, it's like if you want to be online between 5 and 10, with your friends, the kids are eating dinner and taking baths, going to bed, and one person can handle that while you're online, one day out of the week, or and even live. If you wait till the kids go to bed, and then you can bring everybody over on a Friday night for poker night or
Yeah.
RPG night,
Right, exactly.
and you play till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And also,
It's all doable.
reach out to the parents of the other kids, like at their school or at their daycare or whatever. Like ask other parents, like, hey, our kids like each other. Do you play role playing games?
Yes.
Like it's not the curse that it used to be.
No, it isn't.
You know?
It isn't.
Yeah,
It's
there might be a
astonishing.
lot of people that are like, oh, actually, yeah, I do, and I never can play because of my kids. And you're like, I got fucking kids too. Let's put them together and distract each other.
You roleplay too?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's why I think all gamers should wear like a D20 button or something.
Right? Yeah.
Just some sort of symbol to like just let everyone know.
There's
yeah.
the gaydar. It should be gamedar.
Gaydar, yeah.
Gamedar.
God, you're a gamer?
Your game?
Okay. I didn't know.
I had no idea.
You're like so stealth.
You're so, like you're
Yeah,
so
I
cool.
guess. People think I'm cool. You play sports. How do you game
How do you
too?
game
I'm like,
too? Yeah.
Yeah.
I work out.
Yeah.
I work out. The other thing I'd say is
I knew you like musicals for a reason. I knew
I
you're a
knew it.
gamer.
George, you like musicals too?
I do.
Okay.
oh my
A
god,
lot.
you're gay?
A lot.
Sorry.
Sutton Foster, if you're watching.
Yes, oh my God, Seth Foster. Yeah, call me too. We'll get drinks, girl. The other thing I was going to say is to those gamers who are not parents, be nice to your friends who are parents and be understanding and be like, hey, yes, I will come over and game for an hour and a half with you, and I will put up with the interruptions when your kids need to, like, take your attention for a while because you deserve to game too, and I'm your friend, so I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
You know, like be nice, be understanding. It's if you can game, it doesn't have to be on your terms or no one else's. Just help your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly.
It's about gaming. We all took a huge break in gaming.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with kids and stuff. I'm really proud, and I never push this, and if Jib were here, he would sort of talk about this as well. There's a point where your kids start becoming gamers themselves. And I never pushed it with Emily, and I never pushed it with Danny, but they've discovered it on their own because it's something that I've done. It's sort of normalized.
Right.
And my oldest is a pretty good gamer.
Nice.
She does it on her own. She found it on her own terms.
That's
And
awesome.
it's far be it from me. So the added advantage of you gaming around your kids
Yeah.
is that they're going to turn into great gamers.
Yeah.
Possibly. Mine have
It's
no
part
interest.
of the learning process.
Wait,
I was
wait for it.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Now, there's
Shout-
no way. Allie is way too busy with everything.
Shout out to Kurt Potts Jr. Hashtag Bay Potts. But Baby Potts went to the con. He's
Yeah, that's right.
16?
Yeah.
14 or 16?
And he's a fantastic. He was
He
in
is-
one of my games a couple
Yeah,
times ago. He's a
he was
great
awesome
role
to
player.
game with. That kid is cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can be in my games anytime, buddy.
Anytime.
Yeah. He's really good because he has parents that game with him and that that shared their hobby with him. And yeah, so it's really
So
awesome.
there you go. There's a lot of things to think about there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Horror Turn Triumph from Joe Gunn.
Jogan.
Shit.
Who would like to read? This
What
is
do
a
you
little
think of
lengthy,
it?
so we can
Split this up.
split
Okay,
this
all
up.
right.
I'll,
start.
you want,
Oh my God, you're gay too?
all right,
Stall it.
I'll start.
Okay, got it.
Hello, Douchemeister still in the orchestra of this crap. Hi, my name is Joseph Jogana. To all on the forum Discord, I am a savage-tologist. Savage-savage-tologist?
I'm glad you started because I
Savage,
have no idea.
savage,
Savagatologist.
Savage.
Sounds
I
like
just
an
looked
H.P.
at
Lovecraft
it.
name.
Savagatologist.
Okay. Yes. That is right. In polar opposition to Hive Mind, I find Savage Worlds to be my perfect mix of crunch, fluff, lack of AC and hit
Yeah.
points, falling downstairs damage, and using real dice system. Oh, and it has great rules for beating a dead horse to glue, and that is not why I write to you today. Today I write a story of horror turned triumph. And not those silly dice with pictures on them. Triumph. Real triumph. But before we can have great triumph, we must have horror. A good errand boy, your grocery clerk, sent to collect the bill. The horror. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be expecting my Tony any moment to rap at my door. It was Kingdom Con 2016, the Wayback Machine. San Diego's own RPG wargaming LARPing Con. It was my first time attending, and I decided to pass along the hobby and bring along my son, 2 godchildren, and my niece. This kind of brings it together with the whole
Yeah, it
gaming
does,
thing,
yeah.
At the time, they were all around 9 or 10 years old, and while most have at least 5 years of experience playing Savage Worlds, yep, I'm that awesome, I wanted them to branch out and try some other systems, GMs.
Just keep them away from those hippie games.
Get a taste of what was out there. The con was awesome. We walk in. They give the kids badges. All kids 12 and under are free, FYI, for people in the SoCal area, and they give us great directions to go find RPG section of the con. We head over to some bungalows, and they have rooms divided up for Math Finder Society, Adventurers League, and other RPGs. Excuse me. I tell them that they should try out the big daddy of RPGs and try an Adventurers League game. So they head over and sign up. The guy at the table is awesome. He helps the kids go through pre-gens, and all the kids are stoked with their choices. Then he lets us know there's a table that can take all of us. I offer to sit back and help the GM, since all the kids are new to D&D, and the guy at the table says, "No way, grab a character and go." Things are starting off great. We get to the table, and the GM seems like a decent guy. He's reading over the adventure while we all take our seats. Besides the GM and my rowdy group of children is one other guy. He is probably in his mid-20s. He sits down at our table and asks, are all these kids playing in the game?
Now that's Stork's editorializing.
Yes, it's
with
true.
the voice. We don't know what the guy
Yeah.
sounded like.
Okay, all these kids playing the game. I turn to him and say, yeah, it's their first D&D game, but no worries. I'll help them if they run into any issues, and they have all played other systems for years. He seems okay with the answer, and we begin. The DM is pretty good, going through the
Adventures League.
content step by step. We are in Barovia? I almost said Brovaria. I was like, well, man, Brovaria.
Yeah.
And are tasked with finding 4 missing family members. So the group picks up a direction from missing person A, and off we go. Warning sign 1! We come to a hill. The path heading up the hill is iced over with bushes along the path. My son's wizard makes a nature roll and determines that these plants with berries explode on impact. My son's wizard is a fire Gen Z wizard who focuses on, wait for it, fire! He says, well, I have the ability to shoot fire at will, so I'll just melt a path through the ice so that we can go up and make up the hill. Bypassing the skill challenge. The DM says, you can't do that. It will take too long. So my son says, then can I just shoot the berries with my fire and cause them to explode so we don't have to worry about falling into them? DM, nope. You can only shoot one at a time, and apparently bushes aren't flammable. So we hop on the rails and complete the skill challenge with only a few of us taking some hits. At this point, 20-something guy is getting aggravated that we aren't pushing through the plot. Warning sign 2. You want to carry
Sure.
on? Okay.
Warning sign 2. At the top of the hill, we are confronted by snow leopards. They are snarling and generally unhappy, but haven't attacked yet. And super cute. Our ranger, one of my godchildren, rolls animal handling to try and tame the creatures. Yep, far-fetched, but hey, he is 10. DM, nope. Ranger, well, can I use my skill to see why they are upset so we can avoid it / distract them and avoid fighting them? Much better idea. DM, nope, you need to fight them. 20-something guy, sighs heavily. Warning sign 3. As we are transitioning scenes, the 20-something guy sitting next to me leans over and whispers, dude, that girl is pretty manly looking, huh? Now, just to clarify,
Oh my god.
my niece is a competitive swimmer and therefore in awesome shape, and
Oh,
therefore
no.
Fuck that.
Yup.
dude.
And therefore more cut than this dumb dude, dumbass 20-something jacktard. Jacktard? That's offensive to happy jackers.
And tards everywhere?
Oh, we
Wow.
cannot say that.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
actually offensive story.
Yeah, we don't say that.
Sorry. Anyway, I turn to him and say, dude, 1, that's my niece. 2, regardless that is rude and inappropriate, you have stupid-ass comments to make, keep them to yourself.
Bam!
Okay, that is shut down. We should be good, right? The rest of the adventure seems to go downhill.
I'm shocked.
The kids are shut down to anything creative short of hit the monster until it is dead. The 20-something guy transitions to name-calling one of the kids in character, to which they reply in kind, in character. The DM doesn't try to calm the situation down at all, and finally the 20-something guy has the nerve to stand up and yell at my niece and call her stupid for making a certain choice in-game that was not the most D&D optimal thing to do. He went on to say that these stupid kids were ruining the game and wasting his time. I give the GM about 2 seconds to respond. Nothing. Solution to 20-something guy. Look, kid, I've got you.
You keep to take the Ive out.
You keep your shitty attitude long enough, but now you are insulting kids. Kids, you will apologize to them right now, or you and I are going to have a problem and need to step outside. He looked at me in utter shock and then apologized and left.
See, and I applaud the guy for his cool thinking. That was very well phrased.
Well, and also
Wow.
I don't know, the basic misogyny of of all the kids there, it's the
Right,
girl
that's the one
he
he's gonna
calls
pick.
out.
Yeah.
And that's
And the girl who doesn't conform to gender norms either.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So he's got double gender problem.
And as a girl who was a competitive swimmer for over a decade, fuck that dude. I've
Right?
dealt with shopping with those fucking shoulders. I feel you, girl. I love you.
Oh, baby girl.
And
right?
but it's it's just yelling at kids is also a thing for me. It pisses me off. But
okay.
specifically in that situation of all touch the fucking X card.
Yeah.
Of all the things, of all the kids there that he's upset at, he's I'm gonna keep picking on this girl.
Oh yeah. I don't think they use X cards in Adventures League.
No.
Sorry.
No, I'm sure they don't.
That needs to be a T-shirt. I've been shopping with those shoulders. I feel you, girl.
I feel you, girl.
That's just such an awesome statement.
Right? Horror wrap-up. We find out at the end of the adventure that we are sucked into the Ravenloft world and cannot leave. Therefore, our characters must play in the next scheduled adventure.
What?
You know, the only one being
Fuck
run in the
that.
afternoon is the same 20-something ass gasket. We break for lunch. I calm the kids down, and we head back to the RPG section. A group of fat beards are all outside smoking, and they call me over as we start to head back in. Hey, are you the group of guys that need to play in the next railroad adventure of D&D? I say yes. He tells me, I don't know, man. It's pretty intense. I don't think the kids will be up for it. In my head, I'm thinking, seriously? You are the GM. Tailor your damn game to your players.
Adventures League. You don't get to do that.
Yeah. But instead, I just say, okay, that's cool, man. I'll find something else. And because of this, I will never, ever play Adventurers League again. Triumph. So to lift the kids' spirits, I decide I'll just run them through a little adventure. The RPG section has no free tables, so I head to the front desk and ask if I can run a game for the kids. They say, heck yeah.
Nice.
There are some free tables up in the wargaming room, and here are prize tokens to hand out during your game.
Nice.
Awesome. I head upstairs, grab my Savage Worlds book, a one-sheet, and pre-gens, and dish them out. We run through 2 one-sheets in about 3 hours. The kids have a blast. About halfway through, I realize we actually have a crowd of about 10 to 15 people around us, taking pictures and cheering as the kids play. Apparently, everyone was so shocked that a bunch of kids could have such an immersive game, they stopped playing War Machine to watch and cheer. I'm going to flag that sentence to come back to. Afterwards, I sold everyone watching on Savage World, sorry, not sorry, Hive Mind, and the kids were super happy. May your dice always ace, Joe Gunn.
Nice.
P.S. We've gone to Kingdom Con every year since with groups of kids and never had an issue. Of course, we don't play in Adventurers League. The staff is always amazing and accommodating. P.S. Ignore my terrible grammar. English is my first language, but I went to public school and San Diego State University. So I'm good
That's a party school. That's a big-time party
He
school.
even says right there.
So I'm good at OTL and Bing Pong.
Beer
pong.
What is OTL?
I don't know.
OTL?
I went to a
Chat room
real
test.
school. I have no idea.
Whoa!
Oh, I went to Oklahoma State and Ohio State.
went
If
to
there's
a
a drinking
CSU.
game, I should know about it. PPPS, drink.
Woohoo!
I ran out of beer.
Nice.
I was doing enough of that.
Oh man.
I want to come back to this. Okay, so people who think that kids can't play
Immersive
role-playing
games?
games, a bunch of people stopped playing their war games. The most boring, non-character-driven games around
Yeah.
to watch a bunch of kids have an immersive character experience because it was good.
Shocked that kids are good at imagination. Shocked that kids are good at role playing. I'm really shocked that kids spend a lot of time playing with dolls. Who would have thought that was a natural fit?
Right? Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
My friend Cameron McNary, who runs the Play Better podcast, and he has a play that he's written, and it's about a group of D&D players. And one of the lines of dialogue from the play is, role playing is rules for playing pretend.
Yeah.
And he talks about that transition from being a kid, where your imagination is just so flexible and easy, to being a grown up, and how it helps you recapture that imagination and that fun of playing pretend.
As long as there's rules for it, it's okay to play. Now it's a game. It's like I can actually play pretend now because there's rules. So it's a game. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Because really, we all just long to play pretend. Every actor on the planet, they live for that moment when they just get to play pretend.
Yeah.
We really aren't that far removed from that 4-year-old child.
Nope.
We just think we are, but we really aren't. All we want to do is play pretend.
Yeah.
And role-playing games give us some rules, and we can just say, it's a game. There's I'm following the rules.
Yeah.
And really, we just want to play pretend.
Yeah, it's something that all humans do naturally,
Love it.
and it is trained by. We are trained out of it by society by thinking that you're supposed to outgrow that at a certain age.
Yeah.
And like simply remove that component, and like these kids, they aren't faced with those societal norms and those things that we are fighting against as adults. That training by society to be like, oh, I should be self-conscious right now.
Yeah.
They are in it, and they're in it all the time.
Yeah.
They do this every day at recess, every day at lunch.
They do.
When they're crawling around the house by themselves, like they're not crawling around the dining room table. They're crawling around a jungle or a lion's den.
Right, yeah.
Like
how elemental is the floor is lava?
Yeah,
It's like one of the simplest and best games you can play.
Yeah.
There's whole modules based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We play RPGs. They live.
Yeah.
They live in role playing.
My kids, when they were younger, were like, let's pretend. We get a friend over. Let's pretend to this, and they would do. And let's pretend. Let's pretend. It's like so. Now there's a set of rules, but they're still just pretending.
Yeah.
It's completely natural for them. And they completely get it. I don't know why people are shocked.
And Joe Gunn, if you haven't, there was several episodes ago of this very podcast, and somebody asked about gaming with kids or something, and Kimmy goes off on like 40 minutes of solid gold.
Yeah.
And I don't know when the book is coming out, but I'm fucking buying
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But
Thank you.
But Kimmy talking about how to adjust your expectations for gaming with kids, it was brilliant. I was listening into the car, just like, oh my god, that's so smart. Oh my god, that's so good. But I love that.
Got a master's degree.
Yeah. That whole thing, and you talked about this, is like, be prepared for them to not get into combat.
Right.
They will talk to the bad guys and try to make friends with them
Right.
and explain to them why they're wrong.
Which is exactly what was happening right in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because we are so programmed by like movies and stories we've read. Like we anticipate the beats in our story arc and things like that. Kids don't have any of that.
No.
Like I have to teach them that in 4th grade. That's trying to be like, this is the climax of your story, and then it goes down for the ending. Like they have to have that ingrained in them.
And because we're angry adults, we want to hit things and kill them.
Right.
But kids are like, well, I don't want to kill them. I want to talk to them instead.
Snow leopards, let's pet them.
Let's pet them and talk to them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are like, I'm going to kill it.
Zachary wants to kill him.
Yeah. Some of them do.
Okay, OTL. Took a while, but I found it. A game originating in San Diego, California. OTL stands for over the line, similar to softball, where there is a batter, pitcher, and an outfielder. The object of the game is to get more home runs than the opposing team. The batter tries to hit the ball thrown upwards by the pitcher from the ground with the bat and get to fly over the line on the field. If it is caught in midair, the batter's out. Anyway, so it's actually...
This is like golf with softballs.
Yes.
It's a sports ball thing.
Yeah,
It's a sports ball thing.
With beer.
Okay.
Which is why...
With beer, yeah. It's a
Great
frat.
job, San Diego.
Total frat thing. I can totally see that, yeah.
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 Because I assume it doesn't stand for one true love.
No.
Or it could be on the low.
On the low.
And then also there's some Korean thing.
Well, let's not read
I've
that.
seen
I'm sure it's...
No, it's not porn.
Oh, okay.
Korean emoticon expressing desperation, disappointment. O equals head, T equals arms to the ground, L equals legs.
Well, I mean, expressing disappointment would explain San Diego State University.
Oh, shade. It got dark in here.
I'm sorry. I have no dog in this race. I know nothing about California university politics. I just, like...
Known as a party school.
Yeah, okay.
Known as a party
All right,
school.
yeah.
Very much so. I remember going there once when I was in college.
I think the biggest party school local ASU is probably the
I
most
was stunned. The
Santa Barbara.
bookstore was the size of a Vons.
Santa Barbara's no.
Really?
Yeah, they're well.
I went to Santa Barbara too.
Yeah.
Also equally huge.
Surfing like beach party.
Is it actually a class?
Yeah.
You can get major in surfing. Yeah, it's
You
astonishing.
can't get a degree in surfing though.
You can take it as a PE.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad did a lot. It's the only
degree in
class he
surfing
passes
would
for.
be
I would say it's like if you're a good surfer, maybe you can get a degree in oceanography.
Yeah.
A lot of
That
the
takes
oceanographer-
science and math.
Yeah.
And a lot of the oceanographers are swimmers. Like you tell by all the broad
No,
shoulders.
you have to be swim. Yes. When they go shopping.
You know, I
Get
don't
a
know,
tailor.
I had to get on the phone because my son just called me. Speaking of
Right,
kids
yeah.
on first.
Kids.
Did you guys talk about the horrors of Adventurers League and how that actually plays into a
No.
lot of their problems? with this thing?
Abria had a really great statement about that a couple of episodes ago, where she was talking about how she went into Adventurers League with all the right ideas, and she made her a little quitty character
Yeah.
and got completely demolished. It was the exact same experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soul crushing.
Yeah.
I mean, the GMs
Gatekeeping.
don't have the kind of latitude you have in a regular game.
Right.
Because it's a continuous living world where you take this character and you go through this stuff, and what you get is what you get, and it's definitely defined by the adventure. Then you move on to another adventure, and you can take the character from con to con,
Right.
And and load this character up, but there has to be constraints on it, or else people are just going to cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also there's also like a pretty toxic culture around a lot of it. Not everybody.
sure.
Like I know great people who are involved as players in Adventurers League, but there's also very much you show up to the player and people don't want you messing with their character and their character outcomes. So like they can be vicious.
Oh, sure.
And they can
and,
be
and I can kind of understand why. I mean, being vicious to people, no. But I understand why people get very protective of their characters. Because they may have invested years
Yeah.
into getting these characters up to where they are with all of the special drops from certain adventures
Right.
and shit like that.
But the problem is then they tend to buy into stereotypes. Like
Yeah.
as a woman
sure.
walking up, it's like, oh, women are terrible gamers.
Right,
now that's
yeah.
going to put my character in danger.
Yeah.
So as
Or
like
kids.
or
Yeah,
kids,
or-
as someone who's othered, like
Well, I think that's a separate issue. I don't think I
is,
don't think you can
yeah.
paint that broad of a brush over everyone who plays Adventures League.
No, absolutely not. You can't. But that ties in with their being overprotective of their characters.
Right.
If they see someone that they think is not going to be up to snuff
Right.
for their character,
Right.
I think Stu is correct. I think it's fair to say that they are in a very tight box. They're really
It's,
a cage.
it's its own hobby.
It really,
Yeah.
It
truly
really is.
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
unique
it's
thing.
almost it is almost its own hobby. It's
And it's-
not quite
It's
role playing
on
game.
a lot of us to know that going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think-
and people don't know that, which is probably why he brought his kids into it,
Yes.
because he was
Yeah.
expecting it to be a regular role playing
That's
game.
where I was
Yeah.
going to
Just
go with that.
D&D, so it's going to suck a little.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think you're right. I think the idea of thinking this is just a con D&D game versus Adventurers League is a whole separate thing. Because honestly, like I didn't know that. I thought it was. I knew about like you keep your same character and you go from adventure to adventure. I didn't realize there were such constraints on how you GM it. So I'm like, I'm glad I didn't go do that then, because that would have.
It's almost like a sport where you're going to school and you're competing and you're getting and your
It's like-
team wins. You get
like magic
almost.
tournaments.
Remember
Yeah.
Gold, the series, they like
Yeah.
competitive D&D?
Yeah,
That's
competitive
kind of
D&D.
like what it is.
Yeah.
It almost is.
that's actually a thing. That's a thing now.
Yeah.
Like a real, they do competitive D&D now.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're starting to stream it and stuff, and it baffles me a little bit. But
Yeah.
they're trying to get tabletop gaming into esports any way they can,
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
and they haven't found the formula yet. I don't think, but yeah,
But-
no. I mean, it's a
Well,
whole
if curling is a sport,
right.
no, but just making it.
I'm really good with that broom.
I'm just waiting for Good Society League.
Yes,
So
I will fucking crush that.
right? Yeah.
oh, by the way, I finished
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Yes. Oh my god.
I got real tired of some of those characters by the way.
Yeah. Granted. Yeah.
But Maggie's-
Joey and I were like, oh, he's in like middle of season 3. Oh, poor guy. It's coming. It's coming.
But the relationship arc between Maggie Smith's character and the other old woman,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
watching the love-hate relationship throughout, it was amazing.
So beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, Cousin
Maggie
Violet
Smith
and yeah,
is arguably one of the greatest actors on the
yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've
absolutely.
always loved her. She's astonishingly good.
So many fans, and I was telling you this at dinner, like want the Downton Abbey sequel.
Oh.
I don't want the Downton Abbey sequel. I want the Downton Abbey prequel, which is the Dowager in her youth in the
Right.
fucking
Oh,
Edwardians.
my God, that would be amazing.
So
You know
good.
what though? Who are you going to find to be able to follow Maggie
Yeah,
Smith in
I
that
mean,
role?
Well, see,
That's
she's
hard.
not that person yet.
That's
she's,
true. That's
she's got a dowager.
Yeah.
You know she was
Right.
copying somebody.
Right?
She's
Yeah.
Have
got
Maggie Smith play her.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think Keira Knightley would be up for it.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Oh man,
Or Judi
good.
Dench is the dowager.
Oh.
Like a young,
I'm here for this.
Judi Dench is great.
One of my favorite lines from all of entertainment is Maggie Smith. It's one of the first season episodes, and she's talking about Matthew. She's like, "I don't dislike him. I simply don't like him, which is quite different."
It's Maggie Smith. In Murder by Death, she has one of the best lines ever. It's
Right?
like,
Yeah.
what anybody wants with a naked dead body? Well, dear, there are somebody. And she goes, "Oh, that's tacky. That's really tacky."
Where's my Dickie?
It's Maggie Smith. She's
God,
just stunning.
so
I see.
awesome.
Now I want to urbanize it up. I want to make it modern. We'll call it Downtown Abbey. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's a whole different thing.
it might be.
Yeah.
I'd be into it.
But they still dress for dinner because we're not savage.
Right? Exactly.
White tie for
I
dinner
thought you
every
were a
day.
waiter.
What the
Amazing.
fuck?
Oh my
Oh
God.
man, yeah.
That was crazy.
The Downton Abbey is so good. We did on ShadowCon on last Saturday. We did a Great American Novel. Chris Gray ran it, and
Yeah.
we did Downton Abbey, and it was just so much fun. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I want to just play games that like this
All the
this system and this setting like forever.
Oh yeah, and plus this time period it's set in is a transformative time. It's amazing. I mean, you've
So much going on.
because it starts
Yeah.
with the sinking of the Titanic, goes
Sure.
all the way through World War One.
Right.
Women's suffrage, automobiles suddenly become common. I mean,
Airplanes,
think of
automobiles,
all,
right,
all
yeah.
this stuff happens
Everything.
in this like span
Indoor
of 10
plumbing.
years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little-
Yeah. The things that they cover is just it's just
Fascinating.
insane and
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, it's such a great experience with characters and
And they really did a good job of because so much changed because of World War One.
yes.
And they really did a good job of showing that. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, even because they didn't look like they had an immense budget,
Right.
But even the stuff they showed in the trenches in
Yeah.
was it Belgium? I don't remember where they were,
Yeah.
but even that stuff wasn't as horrific as
Yeah.
it probably was, I'm sure. But it was, they did a pretty good job of it.
And it's reflected in the characters. Some of them
Oh,
are
yeah.
just not the same after that.
Yeah.
And it's really touching.
Yeah. And it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. I have a
Wow,
thing.
We're
you guys got geek all over this table.
Yeah.
It's gonna take
I know,
forever.
right?
Yeah, wait, I have a thing to plug. Can I plug a thing?
Sure.
All right. So I'm trying my hand at designing a game. So we've done some playtests. It's very cool. It's called Decuma, and it's the game before the game. So basically, it's a tarot card game that you play between character concepts and your RPG campaign. So it creates character connections and a location for you to then use in D&D or Savage Worlds, whatever you want. So if you will check out goldenlassogames.com, you can go and sign up for the newsletter that will get updates about it, and we're getting the first couple decks printed. It's very exciting.
Let me ask one really obvious question because you didn't actually address it, so I'll play the devil's advocate. This is system agnostic. You can use this in any system to build your world.
Yes.
And it's basically as you're building characters, this is a tool for you to use to help invest in the world. Okay, love that.
Thanks. Good job, Stork.
Yeah. And it's kind of based on what you did with the Wild Wild Talents game, right?
Yes, that's where I got the idea.
Which was that Session Zero is one of my favorite actual plays I've watched. It was so much fun just to watch them build this world. So cool and fascinating. I loved it. So yeah.
I still love the name Wild Wild Talents.
I know.
Love it.
So anyway, check that out. And yeah, it's like a way of doing that with tarot cards, and it's
Yes.
pretty fun, and everybody's liked it so far. And we haven't been able to find a setting that's broken it yet.
Nice.
We've done a bunch
See?
of crazy stuff.
There you go.
Right.
We did a fake Ren fair last night.
Oh, did you?
It was super
Yes.
amazing. Yeah.
Try Downtown Abbey.
Yeah.
Can I also plug, just because I just played it this last weekend and I was just so blown away by how beautiful it is and how much I love it. But Great American Novel is
right.
on Kickstarter right now.
Yes.
And they're fully funded, but like please go fund them. Christopher Gray has done an amazing job. This game is so
Do you need to
so
be
cool.
fluent in the Bronte Sisters in order to play
You
this?
do not.
No.
This is also a system agnostic. It's basically
Okay.
it's basically taking tropes of novels
But-
And
and
movies.
turning them into a gaming system, so you can play any genre or any setting with these playbooks.
Yeah.
So,
Do I need to know the difference between Wuthering Heights and in order
Great
to play
Gatsby?
it?
well, I mean, if you don't know if you've never read Wuthering Heights and somebody's like, "Let's play Wuthering Heights," you're
You
going
might
to be
be
a
at a
little
disadvantage.
lost.
Okay.
But if
you
someone's
know,
like, "Hey, let's play Jaws," and you've seen
Right.
Jaws, you're fine.
Okay.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Or let's play horror movies, and
Yeah.
it's a very system agnostic or genre agnostic game. But it's basically turns PBTA into character focused storytelling, and
Nice.
yeah,
Could it do a funny thing happen on the way to the forum?
absolutely, I believe it could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we could make up songs.
Yeah. We shouldn't play. I shouldn't play.
Something appealing, something appalling.
I just want to play.
Wait, you're gay?
Nice. Way to bring it back. Way to bring it back.
Turn around.
And on that note,
Beautiful. Wrapped it right up.
Seating program. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. No. Shit, where is it? Oh, there it is.
nobody knows that but you. You're asking us.
Thank you for joining us for season 23, episode 20 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm Stork.
My name is Adam.
And we'll see you next week with season 24.
Whoa!
Thank you very much. We'll leave you with a song.
From Michigan to Australia and maybe East Timor, be a trip so exalted. Girls or dungeons and dragons, hero pathfinder, fate or savage wilds, evil clouds will be usurping. Though we could do with less burping, Happy Jack's podcast will be douchebag songs. Strike it up, Taylor, and time for something without shame, without shame, but we wait for thy labor. Strike it up, Taylor, and time for something without shame, without shame, but we wait for thy labor. I mean to spend my shoes, so to dance about the maypole. I will be blithe and brisk. Skip and trip and turn about, get around until Teddy really joints can't frizz. I mean to spend my shoes, so to dance about the maypole. I will be blithe and brisk. Skip and trip and turn about, get around until Teddy really joints can't frizz. Lusty Dick Huckin lay on with I knockin' with the stage just me, Mother Duckin. Lusty Dick Huckin lay on with I knockin' with the stage just me, Mother Duckin. The Morris were half undone, words not for Martin of Compton. Oh, well said, jigging out, switching tunes, and you still step for Jack with Jesus, Mrs. You dance falls. The Morris were half undone, words not for Martin of Compton. Oh, well said, jigging out, switching tunes, and you still step for Jack with Jesus, Mrs. You dance falls.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.